All right, there's no doubt that Americans are stressed about their financial future. So I just busted out an article, Stretched Americans Battle Financial Anxiety, and it broke down where they feel the most anxiety. Now, it does say that 88% of those surveyed have financial stress, and 65% said it was the biggest stress in their life, which makes sense. The world's kind of crazy right now. The economy can be up and down. Prices have significantly increased. So let's break down what the stresses are and things that you can do to combat that stress so that you can have a better financial future and be less stressed about your finances. All right. The most thing is affording the price for essential goods. Now, obviously, this is a huge one because if you cannot buy the things that you need because the things that you need have increased in price so much, then that directly impacts the safety of you and your family. Now, here's a little chart showing inflation. Like, this is insane. Check this out. I mean, back in 2019, it was less than 2%, and now clear up in here in June 2022, it was up above 9%. And now they're saying it's around 2.9%. I don't know if I quite fully agree with all of that because I do feel like prices are increasing at a higher rate than just 2.9%, but that's what they're showing. Now, obviously, inflation can have a huge impact on your budget because you're going to have to spend more money for the things that you need or the things that you buy. My question, though, is you go back to this, it says affording the price for essential goods. 57% people said that is what stressed them out. Now, really, what you probably need to think about is what is essential. Now, obviously, I know there are things that we want, things that we like to have, but you got to look at things that are essential. So if you are stressed about this, but you are spending money on things that you do not need, and you're stressed about being able to have the things that you need, then it sounds like you just need to change your priorities. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have the things that you want because I believe in that. I believe in the ability to go make money and be able to buy the things that you want as well. But if you are currently stressed about having enough money for the things that you need, evaluate whether or not everything you are buying is something that you need, right? Because housing, yes, you need it. You need to be able to have shelter. Now, how expensive of a house, right? So if you were going to buy your own home, I would suggest never going above 28% of your gross income should go to your housing costs for each month. So if you make $100,000, you should not be spending more than $28,000 in a year on housing. So I can break that down. I'm actually just going to pull this up. So if you make $80,000 in a year and say that is 12, all right, so you're making $6,600 a month, times it by 0.28, 28%, your housing cost should be around $1,866. Now, if you're going beyond that and you're going to spend more than that, then yeah, things can get a little stressful. So yes, housing is essential, but you can also rein in your spending on that. Food is essential. Now, I would say that grocery store food and good food that is going to provide for your family's health, that's essential. Eating out, that is not essential. And the math on eating out can be insane. So I'm actually going to pull up Excel again. Let's just say you ate out 5 times a week. And a lot of people do it a lot more than that. They're eating out for lunch every single day when they go to work, and their spouse may be doing the same thing. Let's just say you eat out 5 times a week, and your average bill is $30. Because if I go out to dinner with my wife, it's definitely going to be more than $30. But say your average bill, that is $150 a month, and if you do that by 12, that is $1,800 a year. Now you may be thinking like, oh, that's money well spent. I need to go out and have dinner with my family. But $1,800, if you had $1,800 extra dollars in your pocket, it could pay off debt quicker. It could get you into a better saving situation. So being careful with how much you eat out, any unnecessary spending, that is where you would have to cut out those things from what you consider essential. Transportation, same thing. Transportation could be essential to get to your job, but that doesn't mean that you need to buy a new car or get into a bad lease. You can find a used car, one that can do what you need it to do, but it'll save you money. Clothes can be essential as well, but you can also go cheap on clothes as well. There are thrift stores that may make you uncomfortable, but if you're financially stressed, hey, it's a great way to save money. All right. 47% say the lack of savings has them stressed out. Now, I went and looked this up because I was curious. The median savings in the United States is $8,000. That is extremely low. I would suggest having 6 months worth of living expenses in a savings account. This is very similar to what Dave Ramsey says, right? You should have $1,000 emergency fund and then go and build up 6 months worth of living expense. Now, $8,000 is not 6 months worth of living expense almost anywhere in the United States unless you have no car payment and no house payment. Then maybe you could get off being able to afford like $1,200 a month. But yeah, you need 6 months worth of living expenses. So go calculate your living expenses, go figure out what they are, multiply it by 6, and that's your savings goal. And go and get that off of your plate. Now, quick ways that you can save money. Obviously, you can save money by not eating out. You can save money by cutting down things that you want and just worrying about the essentials. Another great way to save money is to pay off credit card debt, because then you are not being charged 20% interest on anything that you buy. If you have a credit card and you are not paying it off in full every single month, you should just cut it up and get rid of it. Easy ways to save money. Another way that you could save money is go and get new quotes on insurance on your car, your houses. You know, that might be a small way that you can save yourself a little chunk of change. So if you can save yourself $50 a month, that kind of adds up. And if you find enough of those things, then it really starts compounding pretty quickly. All right, 46% say lack of income. Now on this one, I would say go and apply for better jobs. If you have a lack of income, you can go and look for a job that can pay you higher. You can find a side hustle. Now, for me, I always said this, there are 2 ways to make more money in life, and that is 1, either increase your income, or 2, decrease your expenses. Obviously, decreasing your expenses, then your income can stretch further. Now, if you've already stretched thin, then go find a side hustle, go find a second job, something that you can do on the side to make yourself a little bit of extra money, and then look for jobs that pay higher than what you're currently making. All right, debt. Debt is one of the things that stresses people out, 40%. Now, on this one, if you have credit card debt, like I said before, absolutely get rid of it instantly. That is the most important thing that you could do financially, because that is going to take off a huge amount of stress. Credit cards can charge 20+% in interest on your credit card. So get rid of it, cut it up, stop using a credit card unless you are able to pay it off in full every single month. Now, next one I would say is car debt. Car debt can be big as well. So I would cut out any car debt. Really, the only debt that I hold right now is a mortgage. And I did it on a house that was very affordable for me. I mean, it's only like 14% of my gross income is my monthly payment. And like I said before, max I think is 28%. But if you can go lower than that, go lower than that. State of the U.S. economy. Now, this one I can understand why it stresses people out. There's a lot going on right now in the economy. We've seen micro crashes in the stock market, and then you see rebounds. You hear about the Fed possibly cutting rates, but then not cutting rates, which they are signaling that they're going to cut rates in September. So that could help the economy a little bit. I'm looking at this as far as investing. So if you're worried that the U.S. economy is going to tank and then you want to come in and buy stock, you can sit and wait and try and time the market, but man, the market is impossible to time. If you have somebody that's telling you that they can time the market perfectly, I can show you somebody that is lying, because it is impossible. So there's a thing called dollar cost averaging. It's where you just consistently invest in the market, whether it's at a high point or a low point. Just consistently invest. Over time, it averages out. and the S&P 500 has grown 10 to 12% on average annually. So if the state of the US economy is stressing you out and you don't know exactly what to do as far as investing in stocks, whether you should sell, whether you should buy, I would just say consistently invest after you've built up those savings that I've talked about previously. Okay, the cost of housing, I get that as well. Interest rates have dropped though, and if you are curious on how big of an impact interest rates make on a mortgage, go check out the last videos that I've made. I've made 2 videos on interest rates and how they impact the cost of housing and how you can determine whether or not you should refinance your house. Rising interest rates right now interest rates are not rising, and the Fed has signaled that they are going to cut rates once at the end of 2024 and then possibly 4 times in 2025. So interest rates should be going down. That's a sign that the economy is slowing down, inflation is slowing down, so they're going to drop interest rates to spur economic growth. So I wouldn't be too stressed out about rising interest rates. And then the last one is doubt behind retirement. Now, if you have doubts behind being able to retire, then you need to look at the sacrifices that you can make today to impact your retirement. Now, I like to calculate this out. I'm going to bust out Excel again. Now, if you're wondering how much you need to retire, there's a quick rule. It's just like the 4% rule. Figure out your annual spend and what you project your annual spend to be in retirement. Now, say you want to spend a little bit more money in retirement because you want to travel more or you want to go and do stuff. Figure out your annual spend. So say, for example, by that point, hopefully you have your house paid off. So you wouldn't have that. But say you're like, you know what, I want to live off $100,000 every single year when I retire. So that's going to be my annual spend is $100,000. Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to divide it by 4%. So if I take 100,000 and divide it by 4%, 2.5 million would be my retirement goal. That is the amount of money that I need in retirement to have that $100,000. Now what this does is it gives you that 2.5 million, which you should be able to make 4% on very easy. I mean, you should have a low risk profile at 4%. You could even make more than that, right? But if you have $2.5 million in the bank and you put it into something that's making you 4%, voila, the math is just saying you're going to have $100,000 a year, and that would never actually tap that $2.5 million. That $2.5 million would stay in that account, and you would be living just off the interest. So essentially, you would never run out of money, right? And then you could leave it to your posterity if you want to. You could donate it to charity after you die. You can figure out what you want to do with that 2.5 million. But that is how you could calculate out how much I need to be able to retire. And then there's a lot of investment calculators on the internet, and you could go and figure out like, okay, if I want 2.5 million, how much am I going to have to invest over what time frame? If I'm 25 and I want to retire at 65, then I'd have 40 years, and I would have, let's just go a 10% return. It's compounded annually. Now, if I do $1,000 a month, I'm going to have 5.5 million. So if I go like, all right, let's just bust out $500 a month. $500 a month is going to give me $2.7 million. So you can kind of work your way into how much you need to invest every single month to get to the goal of having, that end dollar amount in your retirement account to be able to have, enough money for your annual spend, that $100,000, right? So you could whittle this down to like, okay, well, it's going to cost me $450 a month, and then work backwards. See how you can figure out $450 every single month, whether that's increasing your income by getting a side hustle or decreasing your expenses by cutting out unnecessary spending, and work that way. So those are the stresses. Those are the big stresses in the financial market. I'm curious what you guys have. Like, what is the thing that stresses you most out about your finances? I'd love to help and answer any questions. If you have any questions for me, hit me up in the comment section. We'll talk to you guys next time.